Welcome to another episode of It's Just Alex P. And on this episode, we're looking at a regional bank called First Horizon. So First Horizon Corporation, formerly known as First Horizon National Corporation, is a bank holding company. The company provides financial service to its subsidiaries, First Tennessee Bank National Associates, the bank. The company has four segments: regional bank, fixed income, corporate, and non-strategic elements. All right, so that's a little quick, but at the end of the day, it's a bank, and we didn't understand what banks do, and we should understand a little bit more. All right, that's a little bit more about it. So the first things first, let's look at the technicals. Technicals first. So we look at it over between June 22nd or so, June 15th, all the way to 10 October. Yeah, by October to late early October, 10/5 or so. It was in a accumulation period. All right, it was an accumulation period where we saw highs of 1069 or so. Then we saw lows of 848 or so. So between that, it was bouncing around in that little accumulation period where we saw ups and downs and about $2 movements over those couple months. So it moved down, moved up, moved down, moved up, and if you were longing and shorting, you could have been making money there if you were watching how it was working. And then after that, in early October, we started to see an upward trend where we saw lower lows and higher highs, and we worked all the way up to 1522 for the highs, and the lowest low at that point was 1275. So if you were holding from $8 all the way up there, bro, $8 in June all the way up to now, you've been really making a nice little pretty penny. Even if you were holding at the resistance level at 1076 all the way up to about 1090, you're holding that resistance level, and when you saw that, you know it's going to break eventually, and it broke all the way up to 1522. If you're watching it, that's what happens. When we look at it for over a 5-year period, we're seeing that the high was a 2086, and right now it's one of the only banks that I'm noticing that hasn't really reached the pre-COVID heights as yet. So it still has a ways to go. It's still another, if we were pre-COVID heights to reach back where it was in a nice accumulation or consolidating period, we need to get to about 16 to 17. So I'm going to put my price target around 17 or 1688 or 1650 to 17, and that's based off my technical analysis. Just a quick one. I'm a simple support resistance. That's what I work at. Ain't got to do all those other things. I mean, I use them, but support resistance, knowing some of those things. We're going to jump in some candlesticks as well and say what I look at, but support and resistance. Then let's look at some of the fundamentals. So when I look at fundamentals, one of the things I try to look at is see how it compares to the peers. All right, how does it compare to its peers? Is this leading the market, behind the market? I mean, to the industry, is it leading the industry or behind the industry? So I go and I look at valuations and I look at all those things, but I compare them to their peers because every single segment is different or industry is different. So you need to be compared apple to apples in a sense, right? All right. But some apples are gonna taste better, right? And that's what we should be looking at. So when we look at what the valuation could be when it compares to the other players in the regional banking or banking industry in general, they are really undervalued. Their price to sales, they're trading at 2.84 times, while the industry is trading at 3.41. Their price to earnings, they're trading at 9.6 times, while the industry is trading at 18.84 times. So right now we're seeing there's a lot of upside. If we can get people into it and see some of the great things that they're doing, we could see something. When it comes to operating profit, all right, operating profit, they are bringing it in compared to the rest of the industry. All right, they are at 27.8% versus the industry is at 22.64. All right, so they are doing what they need to do. When we talk about net profit margin, guess where they're at? Guess where they're at? They're at 25.83, industry 19%. 19%. So they are working. And guess what? They also have a little bit of a dividends. Our annual dividends is 4.08% versus the industry is 2.7%. Dividends changed. Their dividends changed a little bit behind the industry, but they went up 16.67%. Growth, at least industry per dividend change growth up, and industry 23.54. Dividends change over the last 3 years is slightly bit ahead of the industry, which is 25.99 versus the industry at 22.31. Let's see what else we got out here. So how well is it managed compared to other industry players? So return on assets and return on equity is how we look at that. And when it comes to the industry, they're leading the industry. Their return on equity is 11.76 versus the industry average is 7.42. Return on assets, it's 1.16 versus the industry is 0.75. So when it comes to their overall fundamentals, I'm liking them. At least compared to the peers. Something that I also look at, just some random thing I'm gonna throw out there. I always look at the short, and the short is only let me grab it. The short right now, short is only 2.3 of the total float. All right, people are not shorting the stock. You know, it might be a lot of people long-term portfolio and so forth. So now let's look and see how much what it did in the fourth quarter and what stood out. So for me, fourth quarter, what really stood out in fourth quarter is how much institution invested in the product, right, in the bank. So institutions in Q4 of 2020 invested $994 million, almost a billion. All right. Some of the people that invested is Morgan Stanley, and Morgan Stanley just released something, that they maintain at equal weight, but they did, if I remember, they think they did raise their price target, but I'm gonna have to really confirm. Raymond Jones, they maintain at a strong buy, and they raised theirs to $17. One of the big owners in First Horizon is BlackRock Incorporated, 17% ownership in the company, and they increased how much they purchased as well. They purchased 53 million shares. Oh man. All right, so they're doing something right. This company is doing something right. So let's check out one of the articles Zacks put out, and something we should be looking at. So earning strength. First Horizon recorded an earning growth rate of 11.1% over the last 3 to 5 years. Sustaining this momentum, the earning growth rate is anticipated to be around 34.8%. All right, for the next year. So this article came out December 29th. Just keep that in mind. All right. Revenue strength. First Horizon sales has seen a compound annual growth of 16.1% over the last 5 years. And remember all the stuff we just talked about, how they compared to their peers. They're not light years ahead, but they're doing some work. Strategic move. First Horizon executed several strategic repositioning efforts to improve long-term profitability after being severely affected by its exposure to national mortgage and construction lending. It has also focused on growing its core Tennessee banking franchise. It's going to get more banks every So in July, they merged with a bank called Ibria Corporation. We should be seeing the total end to that everything by the end of 2021. So for them, for overall, they're seeing that the stock is undervalued, just like I thought the stock is undervalued. It's compared to their peers and some of the work that they're doing and investments coming in from institutions. So they see that looks undervalued. I see it looks undervalued. One thing I really need to jump into is see what they're doing online. What are they doing online? Because everybody's putting their money in Cash App and companies like that. So they have to have something out there to compete when it comes to at least commercial banking. But what are we looking at, like loans and all those other things? So something I'm going to look at and just see how they're working for their customers or commercial customers, regular mom and pop customers, if they got a nice little app or something. But overall, the institutions are seeing something great out of it. The one red flag that I saw overall was the CFO CFO. Okay, the CFO dumped a decent amount of his shares in Q4. The CFO, I want y'all to really think about that. The CFO dumped a decent amount of his shares, but we never know. Never know why. So make sure you always do your own due diligence as well. So for me right now, First Horizon is definitely going to be a buy for me. I'm going to hold it for about a couple of months, but I'm going to wait to see if it continues or if it's going to pull back a little bit. Because it is on that uptrend, but maybe it might continue that uptrend, but sometimes it doesn't. Might see a little pullback before it keeps going up. And I'm going to try to catch it on the pullback, but I might scale my way in to see what happens. But this is going to be something that I'm going to probably do for like a 3-month hold or something to see what happens, and especially coming after the I'm going to try to get analysis of First Horizon Corporation. Make sure you guys, if you haven't, make sure you subscribe. If you're coming back, make sure you follow me on IG. I'm going to put it down bottom, and if you purchase anything, you got anything away, I mean not purchase anything, but if you purchase any of the stocks I talk about, please let me know. Let me know how it went. Let me know how you made money, didn't make money, did you do more due diligence, something else you should be telling me, because we all should be working together on this thing. All right, let's go. Have a good one. Bye-bye. I think I'm going to put a price alert on there as well, so when it pulls back a little bit to see what we're looking like, lower lows, and try to get in and scale my way in. Not sure how much position I'm going to put on it yet.